Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer, and thanks to Plaid for bringing today's debate. The new system of universal credit is causing major concern among those who will be affected by it. We are seeing this from the results of the rollout so far. So in UKIP we share the concerns. We agree with Plaid to that extent, and we think that Plaid are right to bring this forward as a subject for debate, although we don't support Plaid's ambition that welfare should be devolved to Wales. In that regard, we actually support Labour on this occasion, in that we don't think that devolving the welfare system to the Welsh Assembly is a viable solution to the problems facing Wales, and may actually make things a lot worse, because of the reasons that we've heard advanced of Wales being a net recipient of welfare, and the lack of knowledge that we will get the same level of funding if welfare is devolved. And I accept that Stephen Lewis may have raised points that need to be further investigated, but that's our position as it stands at the moment. Now, we also agree with the Conservatives to some extent in that the principles behind universal credit may have been laudable in terms of helping people back into work as a concept. It is just that the way that the new setup has been designed is so very flawed that it leaves us very probably in a worse situation than we were in before. Now, we heard evidence on this subject on the Equalities and Local Government Committee. We had academics from social policy units coming in who'd interviewed a lot of the claimants who were involved in the rollout, and a sample of the claimants were asked what they'd thought about the new scheme. Overall, the new system wasn't welcomed. The major issues included accessing the system in the first place, delays over payment, issues over whom the payment goes to where there are joint claims, and sanctions. One aspect of the new system is the difficulty of making the claim in the first place. Now, a few years ago, we had a change from the system whereby most new claimants for benefits would make an appointment to see someone, a real-life person, at a job centre or a similar office, to a system whereby the majority of new claims were made over the phone. So that raised one level of difficulty. Now with universal credit, we're moving on to a new level of difficulty because now the initial claims are made online. So this raises the issue that some claimants aren't online and can't do things online. And the risk is that many of those people could fall through the cracks. Once you actually get your claim processed, the next problem is the delay over payments. Well, we've heard a lot on that subject today. Bethan Jenkins detailed that in her opening contribution when she highlighted the risk of claimants falling into more debt due to the delays. There's also the risk of the rent arrears, which we've also heard about, due to the system whereby the claimants themselves get paid the rent in a large lump sum, and it's not actually paid direct to the landlord. Unfortunately, this method does increase the risk of people getting into arrears and landlords not getting their rent. Elena Morgan highlighted the issue of the problems of the joint claims and who gets the payment, and the fact that there isn't really any protection built into the system for women and children, although obviously it's not always the woman who gets the payment, but in general that is a point that we need to consider. Once you are in the system and you're getting your payment, there is the ever-present threat of sanctions, which Leanne Wood mentioned. Now, under universal credit, the sanctions regimes are tougher. And of course, as in any bureaucracy, and a welfare system is a massive bureaucracy, the sanctions can be misapplied. Here is a for instance. The universal credit system has to deal not only with people not in work, but also people who are in work, but who are in low-paid jobs. This is because it is also replacing working tax credits. The problem is that under the old system, you could claim working tax credits without visiting the job centre, as they were claimed through the tax system. Now, if you have a job, but it is low paid, you still have to go to the job centre to claim your top-up payments. So, you are in work, perhaps in a regular full-time 9-to-5 job, but you also have to go to the job centre at regular intervals. I wonder if you can see where we are going with this. Yes, people who have jobs are being given job centre appointments which clash with their hours of work. They are missing these interviews, understandably, and are then sanctioned by the job centre for failing to keep them. If one is caught up in this kind of trap, one is entering a Kafkaesque world of battling against a heedless bureaucracy, and the individual will very rarely win that battle. Even if you have a job that takes up, say, 10 hours, you will be encouraged, in other words, blackmailed, into getting another job for 15 hours. This inflexible approach leads to absurdities such as a woman of 60 plus who had 3 jobs totalling 21 hours and was still told to get another job. Sanctions can come quite randomly and can occur 6 months after the alleged misdemeanour occurred. The problem with this is twofold. One issue is that the person being sanctioned will probably no longer remember the reason for it, so won't be able to effectively appeal. Another issue is that it will be largely unforeseen, so it again raises the risk of the claimant going into debt or rent arrears.
Are you winding up, please?
Yes, so in general we agree that this is a massive problem. The other issue that no one's talked about, which I don't have time to go into, is that there is no meaningful way of retraining people through the system at the moment, and that is the crucial element. If you're going to get people into work, why is there no real emphasis on retraining them and getting them into a meaningful employment? Thank you very much.
Diolch Lloyd.
Diolch,